Guys, let's talk about the Cowboys. Let's start the Cowboys for a second. We've all heard that Mike McCarthy is now going to be calling plays for the Cowboys. We believe that he's going to have this West Coast offense that he's run before. We don't know that yet because we haven't seen any plays. We haven't seen anything with this offense yet. Do you guys believe the narrative that this is going to be a ground and pound offense and just maybe throw some slants and dump offs to the to Pollard, or do you guys think that they are still going to be hitting CeeDeeLamb down the field and this is going to be an explosive offense like, I guess, kind of what it was last year?
Yeah. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first. Yeah. So I mean, I think CeeDeeLamb could still hit value. He's kind of actually a fade for me at ADP late round one. Yeah, Sigmund Bloom, Football Guys, has this, he talks about it on like almost every episode, like the assumption of rational coaching. The assumption of rational coaching is, you have Dak Prescott, a really good quarterback. You could throw the ball, but like this is not a rational coach to me. This is like sort of a donkey, in my opinion, who's always been massively overrated. You do not let Kellen Moore go. Kellen Moore is easily one of the greatest young offensive minds in football, in my opinion. So like that was a huge mistake.
He was snatched up like this.
Of course he was. Quick. And they would get into feuds because McCarthy just wanted to win with the ground game. He wanted to win with the defense. He foolishly gave Zeke Elliott more carries than Tony Pollard, who is far and away the best, most explosive runner in football. And so, I am super out on this Dallas Cowboys offense. Just about the entirety of the offense. The one player I keep going back and forth on, and there was like a time where I had him as my RB4. That's Tony Pollard, who just last season, he ranked 25th in expected fantasy points per game that measures the worth of his role, his volume, 25th in XFP per game. And he ranked 9th in fantasy points per game. That is insane. That is remarkable. He is so good. And then Zeke Elliott is no longer there. And so it's like if he gets just 40% of that, he could easily be the RB1 in fantasy. And that's just 40%. So like, he is someone I really waffle on. One thing I will say I was listening to Bucky Brooks during draft season, and he said, I was talking to my friend from the Cowboys front office, and I was like, why don't you give Tony Pollard more touches? And he said, we really believe like he needs to be at 12 to 14 touches per game because we think anything more than that limits his explosiveness, which is so stupid because every time you have given him 15 plus touches, he has like 200 yards from scrimmage. But again, it's assumption of rational coaching.
I think Pollard actually like agreed with that. I think Pollard came out and actually said, like, coach is right. I kind of need to stay fresh with just those 14, 15.
So part of it, like Austin Eckler said the same thing last year. He lobbied to get touches taken off of his plate, but what happened? He like touched. He was the only one to touch those points because like he is so good, and like Ronald Jones isn't good. Like Leonard Fournette, if they sign someone like that, is good.
That's an interesting take. I don't think I've heard anyone who's kind of been like almost full on fade for the Cowboys outside of Pollard, and even then, it's kind of
I mean, FFPC, Jake Ferguson in the last round, I think is great. But it's like outside of that.
I would say this. I'm with you. I'm like not on CeeDeeLamb. I think, the idea that he's going in the first round to me boggles my mind because last year he was in the best possible position that he could be in. He had little competition. Gallup was coming off an ACL injury, and he still talks about like how he was not fully himself. His other competition was like Noah Brown. And an injured, I got to point that out, an injured Dalton Schultz throughout most of the year with an injured PCL. And he had Zeke and Pollard, and that was pretty much it. So, and he obviously had Kellen Moore. We removed Kellen Moore from the situation. We have a healthier Gallup. We add in BrandinCooks. To me, I don't see how this now, puts CeeDeeLamb in a position to be in that top tier of wide receivers. The guys who truly dominate targets, who truly can dominate in the red zone. To me, last year was the ceiling year because I just think you add those other pieces in and you take away Kellen Moore. To me, that really limits his upside. I think he'd be a great wide receiver one. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that you're going to lose your league if you draft him, but I think there's an issue.
Don't think he has that ceiling.
I don't think he has that ceiling. So why would I take somebody without a ceiling in the first round? Absolutely want no parts of CeeDeeLamb, but this is where, like, and I'm the one that added this question because something doesn't add up with this offense. Like, they want to ground and pound, but how? You have CeeDeeLamb, you have Michael Gallup, you have BrandinCooks, you have Dak. We can kind of question the Dak, and you have Pollard, but you're not going to give Pollard 30.
Well, we just talked. They want to limit his touches.
They want to limit his touches. So I don't see anyone else in that backfield. I don't see anyone that they can physically bring in outside of Dalvin Cook to where they can really, truly ground and pound. And I do think, I can't recall the schedule off the top of my head. I remember the 15 through 17, which is amazing. But I think they're going to be in a lot of competitive games. And we talked about it before. Like, I'm less so on, like, strength of defenses, passing, rushing, and more so on game totals. And I think they're going to be in a lot of games where that game total, that Vegas total, is going to be pretty high. And I don't think they're going to be able to get there with the run.
Right.
Their defense is good, but they've historically been really good at scoring touchdowns.
Right.
Could see some regression there. So I'm kind of like buying Dak a little bit because of where he's going, with the idea that, there's that chance that they just can't do what they want to do, and they have to lean on their best assets, which I think is their receiving core, and Pollard in the passing game, because I think a way that you can ease Pollard, carries and touches is by including him in that passing game, and
He's great there.
Not basically don't do what you did last year to Kamara.